Welcome to the Last Laugh podcast, where we dive into engaging conversation with game changers, visionaries, and inspiring folks who are leaving their mark not just in their local communities but well beyond. In today's fantastic episode, we are joined by an extraordinary guest, someone whose journey took an unexpected turn from a successful career in the United States to a path of deep purpose. Before we continue, I really appreciate if you could subscribe to my channel and don't forget to click the notification bell. If you feel that I'm adding value to your daily life and you're really getting content from my podcast channel, do subscribe and share with your family and friends. This will really help me to get the guest on my podcast channel which you like. I am sure that you will really get inspired by the story because someone who has left a high-paying US job has reached to the Sharktank India. This is the story of Shashank Moddhia, a seasoned professional who used to oversee kidney care products in the Asia Pacific region, but he found his true passion far from the hustle of corporate life, nestled in the heart of India's rural landscape. Join us as we dive into the incredible transformation that the Renal Project is leading in the healthcare world. Our chat sheds lights on the important gaps in healthcare when it comes to the kidney issues and how the Renal Project is working tirelessly to bridge the gap. Shashank approaches success with the belief that the key to achieving it lies in the execution of the plan. He sees technology as a valuable support, with AI serving an additional layer to enhance the execution process. Mr. Moddhia passionately shares why Indian healthcare has its own strengths, challenging the common belief that US healthcare is always superior. He offers a fresh perspective that showcases the often overlooked excellence of Indian healthcare. Our conversation also took a crucial turn towards the managing chronic diseases and leading a healthier and more fulfilling life. Trust us, you don't want to miss this exchange of ideas and knowledge. To make sure you don't miss out on more thought-provoking conversation and inspiring stories like this, hit the subscribe button on our podcast channel today. Your health and well-being are so important to us, and we are here to guide you on the enlightening journey with Yash Sanghavi. I'm sure you wouldn't want to miss out on this extraordinary episode of the Last Laugh podcast with our special guest, Shashank Moddhia, an entrepreneur working for the better of humanity. Yeah. So thank you for coming to the podcast channel and accepting our invitation. So I really want to know from you, how did you enter into something like the Renal Project?
Right.
And what motivated you to come back from US and start this?
Right. So basically, I'm a biomedical engineer, and we work on X-rays and MRIs. And then for the last part of my corporate job, I was working with a company that makes dialysis machines, and I was heading the Asia Pacific region for quality management. And when I was traveling to all these 15 countries, from Japan to Southeast Asian countries and all that, I got to know that while we were working on world-class quality system, world-class products and next generation products, in India we were not even selling those kind of dialysis machines, which also makes sense that there were hardly any dialysis therapies given out. So further inquiry just led me to understand the statistics were very grim. Every year, 2.5 lakh people die because they could not get dialysis. Now, dialysis is a 4-hour therapy, which is a life-sustaining therapy. It's a lifeline for kidney care patients.
Mm-hmm.
So the kidneys are not working and the blood is not being purified. So they have to do dialysis, and the dialysis, we take out the blood, we purify it and put it back into the body, and that takes 4 hours. So this is a very life-sustaining therapy. If someone skips dialysis out of his own will, in 5 days, that person will be in ICU because the fluid and the toxins and everything accumulates in the body. So again, every 2 days, the person has to take dialysis. So if something is that important, if people have to travel hundreds of kilometers just to get dialysis, that was definitely a shame. So more I got into understanding the landscape of India, that, where is the deficit, why is there a deficit, and what can I do in order to like maybe help through my own company. What can I do? What can I propose in order to help the situation in India, wherein people die less out of this stupid reason that I just did not get dialysis. So once I kept on getting into the statistics more deeper into the landscape, I traveled myself to the interiors and all that. I just looked back and I felt that my corporate job really did not make any sense. There was no sense of purpose. What next? What's next? Maybe I'll be a director, maybe I'll be a VP, but this was more meaningful. And then after a point, I just had to give up my corporate job. It was a very easy decision for me, although having given up this really awesome corporate job where you're traveling business class, things like that, it's very difficult to take this decision. But for me, it became a very easy job because I just saw the reality with my own eyes, and then there was no looking back. So that motivated me to shut down everything, all my corporate job, move back to India, move back to Mumbai, and open a dialysis chain that can penetrate further into the landscape, into the tier 2, tier 3, and just help the situation that people don't have to die.
Wow, that's amazing and inspiring too. So should I say that you are a social entrepreneur, or the business is a profitable business? Like,
Right. I'll see. It's very funny. In India, when I started, I did not really know what was the format of doing business.
Mhm.
I thought maybe I should have a charitable trust and then get donations, and maybe non-profit would have been the right thing.
Mhm.
But when you see sustainability, see, even with charity, you have to be very sustainable. You can't keep on asking for money every month, every year, and all that. And plus, the public trust and the whole money pooling into it and you utilizing it and the compliance part was just too tedious. It was too complicated. And so I just opened up a private limited, especially because it was not just sustainable, but also a profit can be made out of it. And anyone who's giving money would not be charity, he would actually be making money also out of it. So then I fell into this private limited. So there is a huge social impact out of it. It's a social cause company, but yes, it's got a huge future, and all the parameters of a scalable, profitable company, it has all these elements.
Wow, that's amazing. So, while I was researching about the kidney dialysis, right, we talk about CKD, that is obviously the disease which comes from
Chronic kidney disease.
Yeah. So, for the viewers, right, we first want to understand what is CKD and what are the different types of diseases which we get from kidney failures, right?
Right.
And how it is treated. Like, what is the process of the treatment to purify the kidney?
Right. So the journey for the patient is basically that let's say someone is around 55, 60 years old and gets mild headache. Okay, there is some swelling on the feet. There is actually water retention within. Nausea all the time. Hunger is subdued. Things like that. So in India, this is how healthcare works. That this person goes to the family doctor, and the family doctor knows that these are not good symptoms. Let's do a blood report. So they do a simple CBC blood report, and then maybe a liver function test or a kidney function test. Simple test under 1,000 rupees, and there will be uric acid, creatinine showing up in the blood. So that's how people come to know that kidneys are not functioning, and all the urea, creatinine, and the uric acid and all those molecules that need to be, and the excess water needs to be flushed out of the body is not happening.
Right.
And that's the reason there is a fluid overload and there is headache and all the pressure is building up. So once this happens, the doctor refers this patient to a nephrologist, and the nephrologist further does tests like ultrasound and things like that, and we get to know that the kidney function is not 100%, but maybe 80%, maybe 50%, maybe only 10%. And then we know that this is a chronic kidney disease. There is also acute kidney disease, which is like if there is a snake bite, if there is a trauma, an accident, or there is a drug overdose or certain kind of medication side effects, kidneys go for a toss. But then you take dialysis, support the kidneys for a while, and then the function returns back. This is called acute kidney disease, AKD.
Wow.
But when it is chronic kidney disease, that means the chances of reversal are very little. Okay. And then there are stages. So if there are the kidney function, there is still, urine output and all that. So then the kidneys are still functioning, sort of. So, and to the other extreme in which kidney is absolutely not functioning. So there are different stages, just like in cancer, CKD 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So when it's CKD 4 and 5, that means your kidney function is less than 10%, and it's called ESRD, end stage renal disorder. So when it is ESRD, you pretty much know that you have to be on dialysis for a very long, long time, for your lifetime, or till you have a kidney transplant. So this population is growing, wherein the detection and the awareness in India is so poor that until and unless you reach this CKD 3 and 4 level, people don't get the symptoms. It's a silent disease. And then the chances of reversal are definitely compromised. It's not that we do regular blood tests and, oh, my urea and creatinine is slightly, shooting up and all that. Then through medication and conservative treatment, it can be reversed. But sometimes it's too late. And then you fall into CKD, and then dialysis becomes one of your therapies. Now, CKD is primarily caused by other existing conditions like diabetes and hypertension. Almost 35% of chronic kidney disease patients are coming from diabetes and hypertension history. And this is a wake-up call for India, because if diabetes and hypertension are the ones causing CKD, then let's not focus on CKD. Let's focus on hypertension. 33% of India's population is hypertensive, right? And more than 100 million population of India has diabetes. And forget about pre-diabetic people. So there's a huge inflow that we need to actually, through awareness and through a lot of lifestyle changes, a lot of awareness, we need to curtail in order to, combat CKD.
So I truly agree. So I was just doing a research, and it is said that in India, 10% of the people are suffering from CKD, 10% of Indian population.
Right.
And when you are saying that if the major reason is diabetes, and the suffering of diabetes is so high,
right,
eventually this 10% of CKD will reach out to 30-40% odd.
Right, absolutely. You just see the history of time, right? 25-30 years back, if Sharma ji gets diabetes, unko cholesterol hai, unko diabetes hai. This was the talk of in the society. All that is gone. Now every household has either high blood pressure, cholesterol, or diabetes. ये तीन में से कुछ एक तो होगा ही, 100%. So that stage is gone, and we still not waking up. And now wherever I go, at least someone or the other knows, "Are हाँ मेरे uncle को dialysis ये वो." So now more and more you are hearing about dialysis. So what next? So we definitely, and this is where also we not just need a lot of dialysis centers and dialysis therapy, but we also need some intelligence through technology, so that we can predict where is all this going, and so that we can do some intelligent work and combat this whole CKD as a nation.
Do we have like the number of patients currently in India who might suffer or who will suffer from CKD or?
Look, we don't do a very good job with the surveys. We do not have a very systematic state-wise, district-wise data which can give us a definitive number that this is it. We don't have a definite number on our population. We are not 1.4. We could be 1.8, but we do not know. Some of them are not registered, nothing. So the systematic survey is not available, not for the super specialty of kidney disease. But we do have estimates. We do have estimate that about 129 people out of a million are predisposed to kidney disease. And we also know that brackish water, the water quality, certain food habits, diabetes, those kind of things, they increase the chances of CKD. We just know these contributing parameters, but a very well organized survey is still not done, at least in India.
Wow, that's a really high number.
Right, right.
That's a really high
It's
number.
crazy. It's crazy.
So now let's talk about your company, the Renal Project, right?
Mhm.
How, like, what do you guys do, and how it is different from other because dialysis is also happening at hospitals, right?
Right.
So how are you different from hospitals or other competitors which you have?
Right. Absolutely. So, you've seen a DMart concept, right? DMart. You don't always need a huge DMart. If you have a huge DMart in middle of Mumbai, people from the northern suburbs or southern suburbs, the east, west, they all will have to come to that DMart to shop. That is really not the way. Hospitals have dialysis. Similarly, uh, 95% of the healthcare does not happen in Apollos and the Fortises. I'm taking these names because they represent a big brand where good healthcare happens. Popular brands. There's no other. You can also quote them. That's okay. But Apollos and the Fortises are not where 90% of our healthcare happens. 90% of our healthcare happens in those neighborhood hospitals, those nursing homes, tier 2, tier 3. There are these rural hospitals, sub-district hospitals, things like that. This is where dialysis needs to reach. So if Apollo has a 20-bed dialysis center somewhere in Mumbai, it's not going to be able to cater, and also people are not going to be able to reach that place. Instead of having a 20-bed center in the middle of a town, you need four other dialysis centers, which are more penetrating into the landscape, as well as it's easy for the patients to access dialysis over there. Why do we need dialysis to be very accessible? The simple answer is this is a very repetitive therapy every 2 days, every. So the number one parameter actually, what is the number one parameter for success of a dialysis center? It's not affordability. It's not quality dialysis. It's proximity.
Okay.
It's proximity. How near is that dialysis? I have to go over there every 2 days, for the rest of my life. So accessibility and proximity is the number one parameter. Affordability is the next, and third is of course awareness. I should know first of all that I have.
So how many centers you have opened till now?
So we have 31 centers in Maharashtra, Gujarat, and Rajasthan.
Okay.
It took us 3 years to get there, and it could have been more, of course, but in order to hyper scale, we need hyper funds, right?
Sure.
So 19, that's what one of our investors, Sanjay Mehta from 100x, he says that 99% of the solutions to a startup problems is money in the bank.
Yeah, true.
Right. So that's what we are looking at. We're looking at a big round so that we can absolutely go, because it's almost like a universe. We think we are exploring the universe, but universe is expanding at a faster rate than we are being able to observe. Similarly, 3.4 crore dialysis sessions are in deficit in India, but we are not growing at that rate. Plus 2.5 lakh new people are added who need dialysis. So the demand is ever expanding, and we are not even playing catch up right now.
Right. So every entrepreneur faces challenges, failures, right? They have their own story to tell.
Right.
My question to you would be about obviously your journey and your failures, and what was your Eureka moment that that click in, and then you started with your startup.
Right.
To really help.
Right. So the number one challenge I faced, which still hasn't resolved, is I could not get a co-founder, because I came from a corporate people. So 9 to 6 was a very comfort zone. So I could not.
So do you believe co-founder is needed in a startup?
Absolutely. So if you, some of my investors have sweated before making this decision whether they should invest in me.
Okay.
Number one, it's a brick and mortar. Number two, it's healthcare. Number three, it's critical life and death, operational heavy business. All right. And how are you going to manage everything by yourself? Right. You need at least 2 to 3 founders who can handle on-ground operations, marketing, okay, the technology development, investor connects. There are just too many things to do, and it's not possible by one person. Even I don't know how. I've been missing from my social, responsibilities and everything for the last 4 years.
Right.
Absolutely, I've been missing from everywhere. So having a co-founder was my biggest challenge. I still do not have a co-founder. My EUREKA movement was when I found a very good team.
Oh,
I
wow.
found a very good person as my accountant. I got a very good person from Kokilabein Dhirubhai Ambani who joined me as an operations head. I found a very good person in marketing. So it cannot be, this is almost like a war. It cannot be won single-handedly. But my Eureka moment was this. And then, of course, investors believed in us.
I was going to ask you this because it's a capex heavy business, right?
Right.
And obviously, it is very challenging in at the ground level, at operational level.
Right.
So maybe like you need a huge team to execute this.
Right.
So how did you manage this? And you're saying that you have so many centers, right? So how are you managing? Like what is that strategy you have used to make sure that you're managing?
Right. It could be in like maybe any you open a page of any MBA and all that. I don't have an MBA, although I'm just guessing. Must be in any simple MBA book how to build a team or something.
Right.
So when our operations are expanding, we put layers to our operations team. There's an operation head, then there are regional teams, then there are specific for home dialysis, specific for this specific pocket, things like that. So I've been in a leadership role with GE Healthcare, with Philips, with Baxter, some of the best companies. And so my only strength, I would say, is because I have a background in medical. My father is a doctor. And the second thing is I've been in leadership roles for a lot of time. So building the team, how much to pay them, how to get the work done properly, and how to keep them motivated. This is my strength, and this is the only strength I currently am working on right now. So you keep on building the org structure, and then one very important thing which I have said it in other forums also, and I also tell other startups, is that your core team where you put money. Your question is very relevant, and I'm glad you brought it up. So the first thing you need to invest in is operations. Okay, who is going to do the damn job and bring the money in, right? So once you have operations and all that, don't worry about marketing and things like that. Okay, build a brand. When you build a brand first, with 2 centers, if I have a marketing team, what is there to market? Unless I have 15, then I can say that, all right, we have so many centers, please send the patients to us, things like that. So operations is number one. Then once the revenue is coming and all that, then you can have an accounts team around it. Then you can have a software development team if you have an investment and all that. All right. Then you can develop simple modules and, not to go with a fancy software, but, first in market, last to perfect kind of a thing. You build a simple software that gets the work done, all right, until the next bigger investment comes. And now that you have something to showcase, you have some centers and all that, then you invest in getting a marketing team, all right. Once everything is there are too many people and all that, only then you get an HR department around it, right? So this is how I think we need to prioritize, and it's worked fantastic for us.
Wow, that's amazing. So while I was researching about you, right, I got to know, obviously you have over decade years of experience, and you're coming with strong leadership and that mindset that, hey, you know what, I can solve that problem. So my question is very simple. So everybody says that before you start entrepreneurship and start the journey towards entrepreneurship, you require some sort of experience in that same own field. And when you come from HealthTech, everybody's expecting world-class service. So do you think that anybody who is watching here who wants to start their HealthTech startup requires experience working for some other company for some years and start their own thing? Or like they can just start like,
Right.
if they have a problem treatment.
Right. Absolutely. So when you're dealing with healthcare, experience is indispensable, right? If it's software, all right. If you see a software engineer graduates from a B.Tech degree, the package starts with 1.5 lakhs or 2 lakhs and all that. Talk about a doctor graduating, all right. They first do an internship, then they get some other fellowship through some other degree and all that. They work with some specific doctor, and then they slowly take off. Same thing with architects. I have an architect friend who, spent almost 5 to 7 years earning nothing,
Hmm.
but then the profile takes up. So there are certain fields in which the experience is absolutely indispensable, and only then your value grows.
Okay.
I do not recommend a 20, 25-year-old guy just coming out of an MBA school start something that is in healthcare, because you're talking about infection control, all right? You're talking about medico legal, you're talking
Right.
about patient care, you're talking about a hospital and the cash flows. You're talking about so many parameters that can get things very, very complicated. Not the risk to the business, the risk to the patient and your customers, right? And also, in order to develop that mindset, right? Sometimes it's even silly to use the term business, like the business of dialysis. We don't say that. It's a service of dialysis. Yeah, we are
Right.
making money, of course, we're profitable, but you can't even use such kind of terms because there is a bigger motive, purpose behind it. In order to absorb that purpose and make your business very meaningful, you need to have seen life. You would have, if you've seen a trauma ward, if you've seen an ICU, you would really understand how to serve your company well and your patients well.
Wow.
So I think this is a field where some amount of experience is definitely indispensable.
Great. So I have been training in many universities, right? And I feel that there's so many young entrepreneurs and incubation centers who are working on health tech and like something like similar to Practo, right? So I advise them the same thing. If you don't have the experience, how will you actually create a product about it, right? So from my end also, like it's all about like once you gain experience, then you can execute well, and
Right,
it's about execution,
right,
as you said.
right,
So the topic of the hour, right? And your journey towards Shark Tank.
right.
I really want to know your before and after journey, from Shark Tank, right?
Right.
Out of Shark Tank.
So, Shark Tank was one of the things that happened which gave us popularity, no doubt. Anytime in
Tier 2, Tier 3, especially at the airport, at the railway station, people want a selfie with me and things like that. Look, all those things keep on happening. I think what the best thing came out of Shark Tank for us is that people are more aware about uh, kidney care. They are more aware about dialysis. They are more aware that there are people out there. If I need such kind of a service, there are people who are thinking about my kind of problems. It almost is therapeutic that when you see on the television that there is like a problem, people don't know that, okay, I my mother has CKD and she's on dialysis, but when it's on national television, they know that I'm not alone out there. It almost is very therapeutic, and I think that spreading of this awareness about kidney disease, it's high time that we do in India. And I think this is where we appreciate the whole episode of Shark Tank. Firstly, the business and all that, okay, fine. I mean, we get investors, we get people to collaborate with us. Those things are organic and they happen, right?
Hmm.
But the most meaningful value that Shark Tank has added was this.
Wow. So you had pharma and you had Amazon, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I mean, how's it working with them? And people say that going on Shark Tank is just a marketing gimmick. You
Mhm.
really don't get funds after the Shark Tank is live on the show. So is that true? I really want to ask you that first. And
Right,
how is
it's-
it working with this investor?
Sure, sure. So what's wrong with having a marketing gimmick? There's nothing wrong with marketing gimmick. If I'm selling chips,
Yeah.
and if with Shark Tank episode, my entire warehouse is getting sold off the next day, that's awesome, right?
Yeah.
So absolutely. But this is not relevant to us, right? Next day, people are not going to stop taking
True.
dialysis at somewhere else and come to us. Or we got some 2,300 phone calls all over India, even from Africa, Andaman Nicobar, New Zealand, Australia, that can we collaborate and have a dialysis center at their place and all that. If we had 100 million in the bank, we could have, done the hyper scale, but we could not do that. But if it's a marketing gimmick, be it. I think it's an awesome gimmick. So go on the Shark Tank. Don't worry about if you get money or not, but I
Right.
think you should be out there, right?
Okay.
So it's always good. I would not suggest anything happening, like anyone whether if they have a choice to go and not to go, I would always, any day, I would ask them to. Of course, if you have a shitty product, it can definitely backfire. That now it hits the fan, the proverbial, and then your product will be laughed at. So if you have a solid product, there is absolutely no reason for not going on Shark Tank. As far as the investors are concerned, the sharks, I think it depends. In my experience, I don't think I have faced any backing out of the deal and all that. In fact, they've been very supportive. When they fly to Mumbai, they come and meet and things like that. So yeah, there are a lot of stories on the internet, and my experience is not representative of all those stories.
Wow, that's amazing. So, I personally believe that everybody should go on Shark Tank because it not only testifies the person, as a personality, as an entrepreneur, right? But you really get that either the rejection or the confidence after the Shark Tank, and then you scale your business at such level. So now going ahead, I want to ask about AI. Right? It's the news of the town.
Right.
And first question is, how is AI relevant to kidney dialysis? Because I've read so many things on internet that you can actually predict in advance that you will face kidney failures or not.
Right.
So what is it about? Like how is that happening?
Right. So everybody talks about artificial intelligence, especially everybody talks about artificial intelligence in healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
But those are very popular topics and very fancy terms. Honestly, it all starts with data.
Okay.
And where's the data? Where's this organized, collated data? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That is what the Renal Project is working on.
Okay.
We are not creating a software that will once someone gives us the data, we'll be able to predict what's going on, how many years of life for this specific patient and all that. No, we are on ground. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We actually perform dialysis. We take data of the patient as it is recommended by the health council and things like that. The name, the emergency contact, the blood group, pre-existing conditions, food habits, any kind of allergies, what is the history of CKD, any kind of family history, things like that. And what is the condition? What are the pharmaceuticals given to these people? When did they start the dialysis? What are the symptoms that they face during the dialysis, after the dialysis? How is the hemoglobin changing? How is their urea and creatinine levels are changing? Are they facing any kind of infection?
Mm-hmm.
Are their immune system okay? Are they being given any pharmaceuticals like iron, erythropoietin, and things like that? How is their disease progression happening? This is immense amount of data. All right. And talking about AI in healthcare is the third step. The first step is you need to have a system to collect this data.
Yeah.
Right.
True.
So that's what the Renal Project is. Happenstance, we cannot manage all these dialysis centers physically and without having a central hub and spoke control system. Hence, one of the things was to have a dialysis center which is not 20 bed but a 5 bed or a 3 bed small dialysis center. So that is number one. The second thing is you need remote management.
Mm-hmm.
There is pilferage, there is theft, there is patient care, everything, stock maintenance, everything has to be managed through a single. Without this hub and spoke tech enabled platform on which the entire operation sits, if you don't have this, you will not be able to scale.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm sitting over here. My center is in Guwahati, and people are doing whatnot. Right? I should be able to see how many patients were dialyzed today. Who's the technician? What's his experience? What is the stock? When can I send the next truck? So this entire tech enablement is the thing. It is helping us scale. Right? So this is a unique feature of our operations.
Everything is tech enabled. The second part of this tech enablement is the big data story. Okay, right? As a virtue of our remote management and tech enabled management, we gather all this data, which will
help us predict, once we have enough data points, help us predict that, who's the kind of population who needs more screening.
Hmm.
What are the priority patients in India? See, dialysis is, everybody needs dialysis. Let's say 3.4 crore dialysis sessions are missing. You should be able to predict and prioritize, so that a risk-based, batch-wise, you can filter out who are at high risk and who are the high priority patients, and they need
True.
such kind of dialysis and things like that. And for all this, you need data, and you need some kind of artificial intelligence model, which will help you sort out the high priority, low priority, stable, unstable, such kind of analysis. So this is where we are headed towards.
Got it. So if you can just like going in depth, right? So have you heard about MedPalm 2, like which is Google's AI model?
Yeah.
So what they do is basically they have a chip inside spine, and like I just talked about John in one of my video before, where he got treated of paralysis
Okay.
because of AI. So AI predicted that what are the neurons and neural network in the system, right? So it treated that, and it actually helped the guy, and he was off wheelchair.
Right.
Same way, I believe I want to ask you, what would be the top 5 use application? As you said, one of the use application is to collect the data
Correct.
to increase the productivity.
Right.
What would be the other 4 use application? Maybe kidney transplantation, right? So can AI be there? So what would be the more 4 avenues in this?
So the number one would be prognosis.
Okay.
All right. Preventive.
Can you go in depth?
Yeah. The preventive kind of thing. If we have enough data on the screening, we should not need a company like the Renal Project, right? Because early in the game, we know that this is headed towards a kidney failure, and we can stop it, possibly. And this is where I think we need a huge amount of work needs to be done. All right. There needs to be data to, so the preventive maintenance and preventive care is definitely the number one thing that can come out of it. The second thing is prioritization of all the awareness and all that. The third is targeted geography.
Okay.
Which geographies, what kind of food, what kind of water, then what kind of habits are actually causing these kind of things. And the fourth one is, of course, that once you have the CKD, what next can be done. And fifth will be if kidney transplant and such kind of things, matchmaking can be done, a central database of, how we can increase the chances of success of kidney transplants.
This is the entire spectrum. I think it will be very much available as for any super specialty, right?
Any super special like kidney, or for liver, or for cancer, or for heart, for any stream in healthcare, this spectrum would be a very useful thing that can come out of artificial intelligence.
Wow. I also believe that for tier 2 and tier 3, right, can AI be used to decrease the cost of dialysis? So I want to ask you that first. Like, what is the difference of the cost, right? When I go to a tier 1 hospital and I go to, the Renal Project, like what would be the difference of the cost?
Right. So the change in the cost will be an integration of multiple factors.
Okay.
One is that if we can stop the progression of the disease.
Okay.
So if this person is taking thrice a week dialysis, before that stage comes twice a week dialysis, or there is a residual kidney function, and once a week dialysis is enough. And if we can maintain that status quo, automatically the cost is 1/3, right? So the early detection is definitely one thing. The second thing is, it's not just about like like AI kind of a thing, but there are other factors like consumables, all right, syringes, supply chain. If these things come down, that is definitely another angle from which the cost can be brought down, right? Third angle is, of course, we have a very good product. There is a new technology which can replace kidneys. They've been trying this for decades now. For decades now, dialysis has been just the way it is since 25 years. All right. So nothing spectacular has happened from iPhone 6 to iPhone 15. Similarly, nothing spectacular has happened in this field.
Okay.
If I can insert a chip which can, uh, absorb all the urea and the creatinine and reduces the times I have to go to dialysis, wow, we can keep on dreaming. Practically, if I have to bring the cost down right now in the next 5 years or 10 years, make it more accessible, have a good predictive analytics, have pre-screenings, all those things will reduce the chances that people have to go all the way into like thrice a week, 4 times a week dialysis, and also make the supply chain more efficient. Have the drugs and the medications, generic medications and all that. I think Zeno is doing a fantastic job. I've met the founder. We've been speaker at a couple of places. He's doing a fantastic job. This is exactly what's needed. The bioformula is there. We don't have to package it and make it a 200 rupee pill.
Right.
If it can be available for 7 rupees. So there are some very, very practical on ground things that can bring the cost down.
True.
Let's focus on that rather than be in a fancy world of AI and things like that.
That's amazing. So let's talk about the last session, which is about Indian dream, right? Indian economy will reach 5 trillion, said that by 2025.
Right.
What is the contribution of health tech there?
Right.
And if you can give a heads up, like how health tech will, how can we vision health tech in next 5 years?
Right. So again, health tech, when it comes to, there are multiple things. There is pathology, there is interventional, there is chronic care, and also there are these other factors um, about innovation. All right, and pharmaceuticals. There are so many aspects of this whole thing. I think the most important parameter I don't look at how big an economy we are. I look at what is the healthcare budget.
Wow.
Of India.
That's a nice perspective.
Yeah. So that is still under 3%. Okay. Can we increase this? If you increase the healthcare budget, the mediclaims and all those things happen simultaneously. And if the paying capacity is one of the biggest roadblocks when it comes to healthcare. People will save for their grandkids' marriages, all right, for their schooling and all that, but they will not have a budget for their appendix operation.
Yeah.
So healthcare, we are just not used to having healthcare budget. And so if same thing as a nation.
Yeah.
We invest in sending rockets and things like that, but we definitely, healthcare is one sore point. I would really urge that we need to make it at least 3 times. So if that opens up a lot of avenues of innovation, a lot of avenues of better products, better services will come up. And I think this is the way to go in the healthcare, because it's not just about availability. Because of this tight budget and the paying capacity being very small, it compromises on a lot of quality aspects of healthcare delivery.
Right.
All right. And because of this, there are infections, there are unnecessary deaths and unnecessary plight of the consumer. So we need to expand this in order for better quality services and quality products to be infused into India. And this is how we will be able to contribute a lot towards healthcare and towards the whole economy of the country.
That's a great perspective. So I would definitely agree that. And so for me, from education and from health tech, right, everybody is saying that US is the king in the market. Obviously, US has been the superpower, and majorly I've seen my relatives and my friends going to US for 2 things. One is education and one is health tech.
Yeah.
So you are coming from US, right? So what's the difference, right? Why there is so much of, as you said, the budget is more, I'm very sure, towards health technology in US.
Hmm.
But how is their hospitals different from ours, and why there is so much of gap?
So everything is insurance driven. I was in the US for 10 years. I have a cut on the finger, and I take an appointment, which I get the next day appointment, by the way.
Okay.
Okay. So healthcare, we need to get out of this myth that healthcare is great in US and not in India. I think India has a fantastic healthcare system in which between you and the treatment, the time lapse is minimum. Minimum. Okay, my father is a doctor. There's a there's one of our we kids. He falls on the ground. He gets a tear,
Mhm.
and in the next 15 minutes, the stitches are done.
Right.
This can be unheard of. All right, in US. So only the thing is they have a lot of budget for experimentation, a lot of budget for innovation and research, and so because of this research and the academics,
True.
it is very good in academics.
Yeah.
All right. So once academics is done and an MD person orthopedic is out, okay, within the next 3 years, you see how many cases that person has done. He would have done maybe 50 to 100.
Wow.
My father did an internship in KEM hospital.
Yeah.
Okay. He could have seen such things in 1 week. Volumes and volumes of patients. And it's also complicated. All right. So someone comes to you with a broken bone. He's an alcoholic. All right. He has some other existing condition. There is malnourishment. So many things going on at the same time. Cases are complicated and they are in volumes. Our doctors are one of the best trained doctors because in a lifetime they see lakhs of more patients than a medico in US. Although I don't know the percentage, but more than 50% of them could be Indians.
Yeah.
Right. So there are a lot of Indian doctors over there too.
My aunt is basically the GM of one of the hospitals in US.
Yeah.
And she is basically responsible for hiring there. She told me that 70% of my human resource is coming from India.
Yeah.
And she, obviously, being an AI company ourselves, we are building a product for them. So they told that we don't need, the US citizen working on this particular product because the way Indians can understand the problem at the ground level,
right.
nobody
right.
else can do it.
Right,
so
right,
I totally
absolutely.
agree.
So the perception that sends out over there is how much money you spend, right?
Right.
And they spend a lot of money on research and development in coming up with better products. Their labs are there, so they do have all these all this machinery in place. Whereas India has been just struggling. We just got independence 70 years back, and we are still, that thing is coming up. All right. And look, everybody has strength. They have R&D strength. We have service strength.
Right.
Why do all the call centers are over there? Why is so much of manufacturing and software is over here? Middle of the night, this guy is coding and debugging their software. So everybody has their own strength. All right. As far as healthcare is also concerned, I think we need to get rid of this myth that healthcare in India is
Poor.
Poor.
Yeah.
All right. The quality of the care, the awareness of infection control, there are some aspects which are poor. Okay, fine. There are not a defined guidelines for patient care. All right. They have certain medical devices that are regulated. All right. We do not have such kind of regulations in place. Yes. But access to healthcare is fantastic. All right. So there are strengths and weaknesses. But overall, I think I would any day and medical tourism is that index of how people seriously see India as a very good playground for cheap, accessible, and accurate medical care. So people are coming in over here.
So the last message to all my viewers here, right? I really want to understand, and for the youth of India, right, a message from your end about the awareness on the Renal Project and what they do, right? Not only on the Renal Project, but the problem statement which you are actually, bringing the solution to.
Right.
So,
right.
what would be your last message to them in purview of like how awareness can be driven to the tier 2 and tier 3 cities.
Right, absolutely. So it's just not about kidney care. It's about a lot of other things. Whether it's cancer, whether it's eye problems. There are people who spend a lifetime without getting eyeglasses. All right, and that has affected their earning capacity, their socioeconomic, prestige and self-confidence and things like that. So there are certain very, very ground level problems in India. We do not need fancy solutions. There are no fancy problems. We need simple solutions because our problems are simple. It's just that there needs to be
someone who can pick up a problem, take the lead, and start solving it. All right.
That's an amazing take. I would definitely write down in my notes saying that, how the Renal Project will transform the health tech industry. And like a last take on what is your next 5 years vision?
So we want to go pan India.
Hmm.
We want to go pan India, and I think I have a lot of respect for even some of the other companies who are in the space, like Nephroplus.
Yeah.
I met the founder also, Mr. Vikram. I have loads of respect for this guy because it is not easy. Healthcare delivery in chronic illness space, which is at the end stage, it's not easy. And this guy, what they have achieved in last 15 years, it's very, very amazing. So there's no competition or any such. It's a coexistence. We all are fighting kidney disease together. So it's a difficult space, and we hope to learn and grow like some of the other players. And of course, we want to write a pan-India story. This is not to serve just 1 or 2 states or just a few thousand patients. We want to serve pan-India. So this is our aspiration for the next 5 years.
So thank you so much, not from me and for doing this podcast, but saving so many lives across the world and across India in specific, right?
Mm-hmm.
So thank you so much for doing that,
No worries.
coming back to India and solving a bigger problem.
Right.
So I'm looking forward for your journey. I'm looking to see that the Renal Project is not only solving the kidney problem, but there are many other problems which you can tap on if you are the king in the market. Right. So thank you so much once again. I'm sure that you like this podcast and the episode with Shashank Moddhia. And I'm even sure that you will share this episode with one of your family and friends to save someone's life. And if you've reached here and watched my podcast, I really want you to comment 3 things which you learned from Shashank and want to start your entrepreneurial journey. If you have any question to Mr. Shashank, you can comment below and ask the question directly to him. We will make sure that we get you the answers. Let me know whom I should call for the next episode on this podcast channel. Till that time, stay happy, stay inspired.